You know, I've seen many shows in my life, and The Dragon Prince is one of the most disappointing ones, really. But what exactly disappoints me here? You know, the thing is, this show had and to a certain extent still has a pretty big potential. The creators of the show and Justin Richmond surely created a pretty fascinating and unique fantasy world. There are at least 6 different races of elves, and each one of these races has a unique look, accent and magical powers, as opposed to pretty generic elves that we've seen in most other media. Moonshadow elves speak with a pretty strong Scottish accent.
My breath for freedom.
My eyes for truth.
My strength for honor. My blood for justice.
While Sunfire elves have a French accent, I guess.
It's not worthless. This may be a human, but she fought bravely. And she treated me, her enemy, with warrior's honor.
Moonshadow elves' primary source of magical energy is the moon, and for Sunfire elves it's the sun. Plus all these different races have their own pretty unique culture and traditions, as well as architecture. That is a pretty great foundation for an epic fantasy story. Humans, on the contrary to elves, do not have any connection to the sources of magic, and do not have magic. At least they cannot use magic in a natural way, like elves. They can only use so-called dark magic, which means that human mages literally suck up the energy of other living beings, which obviously kills those creatures. What the Dragon Prince sure does right is that no one in this world is inherently evil, and everyone has a reason to do bad and good things. For example, Viren murders the Dragon King by turning him into stone, but he does that because the Dragon King killed Queen Sarai before. And she was killed because humans illegally crossed the border with Zadia in order to find and kill a magma titan and take his heart. But we can go even further. This whole endeavor started because human kingdoms were suffering from brutal famine, and Titan's heart could give enough magic to stop starvation, and possibly save hundreds of thousands of innocent people from terrible death. In this confrontation between humans and elves, both sides have their faults. I unironically think that the flashbacks are the best part of the entire show. They tell a compelling, well-written and generally interesting to behold backstory. However, the main story is, to my deepest regret, not that good and that compelling. I understand that this is a show that caters towards all audiences, including kids, but come on. We have Avatar: The Last Airbender, Gravity Falls, She-Ra and other amazing shows, so being for kids is not an excuse these days. All the characters in the Dragon Prince have plot armor, and help always arrives unexpectedly at the very last moment, like Gandalf's eagles. Let's take for instance the last episode of the 4th season, when Rex Ignis was about to burn our main characters alive, while they were just standing there patiently waiting for their doom. And then the Dragon Queen arrives just in time to save them all. And such moments are simple everywhere. Help comes exactly when it's needed. The characters are very boring, mostly. My absolute favorite character is Claudia. And the reason is because she has an internal conflict. She understands that what her father does is evil. She doubts him and herself, but eventually takes Viren's side. Not just because he's her father, but because she has this evil side in her too. This side that wants to conquer and destroy. Dark magic corrupts people, and Claudia is ready to perform the most difficult and dangerous spells, like curing her brother from paralysis or resurrecting her dead. Each time she uses magic, it corrupts her more and more, but she isn't stopping. It is an interesting character arc, and I wonder whether she'll get redeemed later on in the show or not. I think she will eventually, unlike her death. The main characters do not have this much complexity. Despite having their problems, they are all good guys. They have no doubts about doing good things. They must save the world, so they'll just do whatever it takes. But if Callum and Rayla have their conflicts after all, especially Callum, who is afraid of getting possessed by Erebos, Ezran is an absolutely flawless character, with no emotional dilemma whatsoever. Maybe that's because he's still a child and way more naive than other older characters. Maybe he was written this way deliberately. The show has pretty noticeable problems with storytelling. In the third season, when the armies of human kingdoms go to Zadia to war, the objective they aspire to achieve is not clear. What do they want to accomplish? Do they just want to murder the Dragon Queen and then find and murder her son, the Dragon Prince? Or do they want to start a full-scale war against the entire Zadia, against all the forces of the elves and the dragons? Do they want to conquer Zadia? This remains very uncertain. What does Viren even want to do? The humor in the show is certainly to keep kids' attention. It's pretty bad. It was bad enough in the first 3 seasons, but the 4th season took it to a whole new level. It feels like the creators are afraid that the show might get too dark and serious, and constantly slap us with childish jokes just to remind us that this is still a kid's show. Avatar didn't need this. The animation looks like a hybrid between 2D and 3D styles, and I honestly don't mind. I enjoyed the animation style, especially after the first season, when I got rid of this really weird frame rate and the show got much smoother. The Dragon Prince also does representation and music very well. The soundtrack is just marvelous. Overall, I enjoy the show more than probably this video will say would lead you to believe. I don't think it's a bad show, not even close, but it is a disappointing one for sure. It has the potential to become a new Avatar. It has literally everything it needs: an amazing and unique fantasy setting, lore, good animation, music, and a pool of extremely talented voice actors.
Where is...
Your creepy caterpillar friend? 2 days ago it climbed up that wall and spun itself into that.
But the story and the characters are very underwhelming, at least so far. In my opinion, the 3rd season, especially its second half, was the best and closest to what I would love this show to be. And season 4 is definitely the worst one so far. But there is a hope that the show will improve, because we will get at least 6 seasons, and maybe even more. The story is very far from being over. We still don't know where Erebos is imprisoned and what are his true intentions. Hopefully we will find out eventually. Looking forward to watching season 5.
Greetings, fella humans, human fellas. I sure do like hanging out with other humans and talking about things like money and starting wars.
That's pretty good, actually.
Totally, my good human friend. Bring it in.